On April 26, 1986, a massive explosion rocked the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. It became the worst nuclear disaster in human history. Clouds of dangerous radiation shot high into the sky, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to leave their homes forever. But the scariest part of this tragedy is how it started. It didn't start with a war, or an earthquake, or a lightning strike. It started because of a routine safety test that went horribly wrong. To understand what went wrong, you need to know how a nuclear reactor works in a simple way. Inside the reactor, uranium atoms split apart. This creates an incredible amount of heat. That heat boils water into steam, and the steam spins a giant wheel to create electricity. To keep the reactor from getting too hot, control rods are lowered into it. Think of these rods like a brake pedal in a car. Push them in, and the reactor slows down. Pull them out, and the reactor speeds up. On the night of the disaster, the operators at Chernobyl were preparing for a safety test. They wanted to see if the ship's turbines could still provide power to the cooling pumps if the main electricity failed for just 1 minute. It was supposed to be a quick, normal test, but problems started before the test even began. The test was delayed for 9 hours. Because of this delay, a highly trained day shift went home, and a tired night shift took over. The night shift crew had not been properly trained for this specific test. When they began lowering the power to start the test, the power dropped way too low. The reactor essentially began to choke and stall out. To fix this and get the power back up, the operators made a fatal choice. They pulled almost all the control rods out of the reactor. Remember the brake pedal analogy? They took their foot completely off the brakes. The reactor was now highly unstable, but the crew did not realize it. They decided to push forward with the test anyway. At 1:23 a.m., the test officially started. The operators shut off the steam to the turbines. Because of this, the water pumps slowed down, and less cool water flowed into the hot reactor. Without enough cool water, the water inside turned into massive steam bubbles. In this specific type of Soviet reactor, steam bubbles acted like an accelerator pedal. The more steam bubbles there were, the hotter and faster the reactor ran. Within seconds, the power didn't just go up, it skyrocketed out of control. Realizing something was terribly wrong, an operator pressed the emergency button, known as AZ5. This button was designed to instantly drop all the control rods back into the reactor to stop it. It was supposed to be the ultimate safety net, but the rods had a secret design flaw. The very tips of the rods were made of graphite. Before the rods could slow the reactor down, those graphite tips entered first, and they actually speeded up the reaction for a split second. The heat inside became so intense that the fuel rods cracked. The control rods got stuck halfway down and could no longer move. The pressure inside the reactor built up like a giant pressure cooker. Suddenly, boom! A massive steam explosion blew the massive 2,000-ton concrete roof straight off the reactor building. Seconds later, a second explosion occurred as oxygen rushed in, creating a huge, glowing fire that spewed radioactive smoke into the atmosphere. The air became highly toxic, and the nearby city of Pripyat had to be completely evacuated. It remains a ghost town to this day. The Chernobyl disaster wasn't caused by one single thing. It was a perfect storm of a dangerous reactor design, a tired crew, and a series of terrible mistakes. It changed the world's view on nuclear energy forever, proving that even the smallest errors can have catastrophic results. If you enjoyed this story and want to uncover more incredible moments from history, subscribe to Legacy Lens. Every week, we bring the past back to life with cinematic stories of legendary figures, forgotten battles, and the events that shaped our world. Until next time, remember, history isn't just something we read. It lives through the stories we choose to tell.